Excuse me. What in the world are you thinking?
Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
What up, y'all? It's KMB the Sexy Ninja in the place to be for Paper Saber Universe, and this is the New World Podcast, brother. And it is a nice, crispy Thursday morning here in Greeley, Colorado. And I finally got to smell the smell of Greeley. It only happens, though, super early in the morning and a little late at night when the stench rolls in. And it's bad, but it's tolerable. Well, for me, just because it's like, it stinks. So just thinking something else. It's been a fun trip so far. I originally was going to do this podcast last night after I watched this show, but I didn't want to do another podcast where I was a little tipsy again, like the past few nights. We went out, had a big dinner again, had a couple margaritas, and then I got here, watched the show, took my notes, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired. Let's just go to bed. I think that's what we should do, but we're going to talk about Dynamite, February 28th, 2024, and before I do that, we're in Huntsville, Alabama, with Tony, Taz, and Excalibur on commentary. The place we went to, I sat at the bar first to wait for the party to come so we can have some dinner, and they look at me. I got my Chapter 17 chain on, I got my ICP Yum Yum Bedlam shirt on, and they're like, hey, is the gathering in town? I just started laughing, and he's like, whoop whoop, and I'm like, oh shit, whoop whoop. I was like, that's dope. I just like that as the gathering in town. So let's just start this off with Hangman Adam Page. He's hurt. I felt this was like a jab at WWE for people that have been getting hurt and everything like that. So, he's in the ring. He's doing his thing. He's saying like, yeah, I'm going to miss Revolution and blah, blah, blah. Here comes Swerve. It's like, hey, that this sucks for you, but it's an advantage for me, blah, blah, blah. And I already knew. I was like, he's not hurt. I feel like this is some weird fucking jab at WWE. You know what I mean? Like that. I just had that feeling. I'm like, yeah, this is them making fun of all the people that got hurt and use it as a swerve on Swerve. And Swerve is talking to Adam. Joe comes out. He's on the stage. He doesn't go to the ring. He doesn't make the attempt to go to the ring because he knows he's like, hey, I'm going to beat both your asses. I don't care who I'm facing. Asses will be beat this Sunday. And, oh, my God, Swerve got a good one on him when he's like, hey, you should go back on commentary wearing a poncho. And I'm like, damn, I was like, oh, shit. He's come a long way, and he is our AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I like how Swerve called Hangman Hop Along. But Hangman, of course, he attacks Swerve. It was a trick. It was a ruse. Oh, my goodness. The Jacksons arrive, get with Renee, but they have a mission tonight. And this is the thread of the show. They are looking for Sting. They got bats, the white bats in hand. So I was like, okay, let's see where this leads to. Let's go down this rabbit hole. BCC versus FTR in Kingston, and BCC got the win, but I didn't like how the finish was, because either or, we got two big matches at Revolution between Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson for the Continental Crown Championship, and you have BCC and FTR feeding into their feud with each other, and Bryan put Kingston to sleep. I was like, okay. Usually they don't do this because usually someone gets a win, or they could have ended this in a DQ. So it shows that Bryan, it can beat Eddie. That's what I got from this. They can, So we shall see how this goes into Revolution this Sunday at the Greensboro Coliseum. I'm excited. I bought the pay-per-view as soon as it got paid because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have any money. I might as well get the pay-per-view now so we can watch it and I can talk about it and get mad about certain things. Renee's with Jericho. Who cares? Tony. The thing that was kind of Atlantis Jr. I guess he faced Atlantis back in the day. And it was like Lionheart. I don't know. But it's cool seeing a generation, 2 generations of wrestlers. Tony brings out Will Ospreay, and he is all elite officially because he had to finish some things in New Japan. But now he's here, and he's part of this fucking Don Callis family. And he faced Konosuke Takeshita at Revolution. And here comes Don. Everyone comes out, and I'm just like, man, of all things to have Will Ospreay to be a part of, I really hope this ends soon. Like, Will's too much of a fucking talent to be in this position, and I hopefully will see him as AEW champion down the road. But him being part of this, it was all set up before he left, and he's going to face Takeshita at Revolution, you know, and this segment was just boring, and it kind of just ended with them like, we'll fight you, we'll see you in this Revolution, yeah, here we go. Renee's with Eddie, you know, but the Bucks interrupt because they're still looking for Sting. We have the International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Nick Wayne. And he got Mama, he's got Kill, he's got Christian on the outside, of course, but Orange Cassidy gets the win. Undisputed Kingdom come out, Rocky, Trent, and Garcia all come out, but Roderick attacks Orange Cassidy, setting up their feud, setting up the rivalry, setting up the angst against each other. So then a lot going on there. A lot was going on in this show, pretty much. R.I.P. Virgil, may you rest in peace. That was another one we lost this week. It was like, Ole Anderson and now Virgil. Crazy times. Renee's backstage with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, and they're entertaining as always. I'm just wondering what we're going to do with them. This big group here of 6. Where's Juice? Give me Juice, unless Juice is hurt. So we got Renee with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, guns up, scissors, all that good stuff. Okay, now we got Chris Statlander with Stokely and Willow versus Sky Blue with Julia Hart. And this match was okay. Sky Blue got the win, because of Stokely kind of accidentally helped the distraction to where Julia used her title. And that's another thing, is that they have not done anything with that TBS championship or anything with Julia Hart. Except with the Sky Blue thing, them being together and facing Willow and Chris. I'm like, will this eventually lead to a title match? Because this match, that title is not being defended at Revolution. So what are we doing with Julia, and what are we doing with that championship? I understand everyone's probably like, well, it's a meaningless championship. Yeah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but that's the fucking problem. It's a meaningless championship like the AEW Continental Crown Championship and everything like that, especially the 2 other titles that Eddie holds as well. And with this championship there, we shouldn't have meaningless championships. We should have championships that mean something because they're championships. Jackson's, they're still on the hunt for Sting. They find his locker room. They go in there, they bust in, they're like, yeah. And bats are hanging from the ceiling. We got some red lighting and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, are they bringing back Joker Sting? Is that what we're doing here? Is that, because that's going to be pretty cool if they do that, right? And there's this moment where, it's an awkward moment where Matt's looking into a mirror. And then we kind of just end there. Like, nothing happens with the mirror, nothing significant. They're just like, oh, sicko, because he hung a bunch of bats upside down. Yeah. But I was like, oh, man, that would be amazing if they did like a Sting pops up in the mirror gimmick, like a Hogan and Ultimate Warrior from WCW. I was like, oh, that would be fucking great, right? No, it doesn't happen, but man, I was waiting for that because they really harped into that camera with the mirror and Matt looking into it, and I was like, oh, is Sting gonna be there? Like, ha 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 ha. I was like, oh, please, but no, that did not happen. We get into our final match of the night. Chris Jericho versus Atlantis Jr. He's got his dad there. CMLL. Jericho for the win. And love and respect at the end. The Jacksons, though, they come out because they're still looking for Sting. Of course, they're looking under all these masks, Sting masks in the crowds. And they find Darby in one of the masks, and Darby attacks. But, of course, the numbers game. And here comes Ric Flair. We are all wondering, what is Ric Flair's part in this? Is he going to... Will Flair betray Sting? That was the notion going in because he went and talked to the Bucks and everything like that. He had a weird little emotional thing with Renee, like, yeah, I'm kind of sad. I've not really been part of this and blah, blah, blah. Now we got him part of it. And here he comes. And it's funny. I'm like, this is a beatdown, Rick. Don't do your shtick while you're coming out there because he's slowly coming out, playing to the crowd, little thumbs up and stuff like that. I'm just like, Rick, get to the fucking ring. Oh, man, I got a little frustrated with that. And I'm like, get to the rings. Get to the ring, Rick. And Rick gets in there, and they're holding Darby, and he has a bat, but then he does that eye poke, that infamous eye poke, but it looked terrible. Oh, Nicholas. Like, it just looked bad, and he has those really weak shots, and then, of course, he gets beat down as well. But I'm like, man, we need to stop doing the physical stuff with Rick. Rick can't do anything anymore, and I'm sorry. Like, I'm a huge fucking Ric Flair fan, but he has no business in that ring. Low blow him, on the outside or something like that, but he has no business in that ring anymore. The coolest part about this whole thing is Sting's music goes off. It's like, oh, okay. So they go up the ramp, and they're waiting for Sting, and he comes from the rafters. And I'm not going to lie, for nostalgia reasons, I geeked out because I was like, damn, harping back to the WCW days and everything like that. I was like, I've been wondering when he was going to do that again. And for this to be his final Dynamite, that's one hell of a way to go out. Of course, gets Darby up, and they take on the Jacksons, and that's the way we end the show. But Sting from the rafters was really fucking cool. I really, really enjoyed that. Honestly, the match of the night is BCC versus FTR. My favorite moment of the night was Hangman, Swerve, and Joe, even though we all knew Hangman was faking it. But overall, decent Revolution, especially going into a pay-per-view, this being the go-home. I give it a 3 out of 5. So... but the coolest moment should go to Sting, coming from the rafters. That was fucking cool. All right, now we're gonna do picks and predictions for AEW's Revolution, and we're in Greensboro. We're at the Greensboro Coliseum, March 3rd, this Sunday. And if you're gonna watch the pay-per-view, I am watching it on Bleacher Report like I always do. We're not gonna go in any order. Well, I'll go from the order up. And what my picks and predictions is we go through the matches, I pick who's going to win, and I kind of predict where we go from there. So, I love doing these. These are my favorite because I like to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And that's a fun, it's fun to be like, oh, okay, out of 5, I got 2 right, or out of 5, I got none right. I fucking suck, So we're going to start with FTR versus BCC. I think FTR is going to get the win. It's going to be one hell of a tag team match. These guys are going to go. No time limits, I hope. And I hope they announce that, there's no time limits in this match. Just let these guys just fight. And I think FTR is going to get the win. And I don't think this feud is going to be over. And we have an all-star 8-man scramble. So far, and winner gets a shot at the champ. It's Jericho, Hobbs, Archer, Wardlow, Hook, Cage, and we have 2 others to be determined. Who's going to be in this match? I don't know. This is a hard one. Like the stack is like, if I had to put money on it, like if we're going to put those other 2 spots, I saw we're probably going to get Brian Keith in this thing, and I forgot what the other qualifying match was, but if I had to put money on this with all these Wardlow, this is the way we're going to get Wardlow up there to get his championship match against the winner tonight of Revolution. So I got to put my money on Wardlow. Let me circle that right now because that's just the way I'm thinking as a storyteller. Like, because we've been talking about Wardlow because he had that thing with Jericho and everything like that. Not Jericho, MJF, who I'd highly miss. Yeah, so money's on Wardlow. Then what's funny is, like, I think they scrapped this match because remember when they announced the Meat Madness match with Wardlow, Hobbs, and Archer? I think they got a little bit of backlash on that Meat Madness. So it was supposed to be a play on March Madness, you know. Meat Madness. I guess that match is not anything, but it was Wardlow, Hobbs, and Archer, and I picked Wardlow. If that match is even, I don't think that match is happening. So I'm just going to put that out there. TNT Championship, Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia. I picked Christian Cage because Adam Copeland's going to find some way to come out, and because we still have this feud between Christian and Adam Copeland, which is just like, you brought him back to face a former WWE guy. We couldn't build some new stories and feuds. You brought this man here, which was supposed to be a big deal, but now Adam Copeland is just Adam, you know. So Christian Cage is going to retain the championship because Adam will interfere, and Daniel Garcia will fall by the wayside, which is bullshit because I love Daniel Garcia, and I think that he deserves that championship. I was going to go for him, but if you really want to, if knowing Tony and how he books things, Adam's going to have his hand in this match, and Christian Cage is going to retain. You know, you got Killswitch on the outside, Nick Wayne, you got his mama, all that stuff. Next up, Konosuke Takeshita versus Will Ospreay. I'm picking Will. There's no stakes in this match. It's just Don Callis put him on the card. And I'll go with this. Will wins. They all come in to show some love. And Will betrays them all. Then he's like, fuck y'all. Then he moves on from them. That's my prediction right there. Hopefully. You know, knock on wood, because I don't want him to be part of Don Callis' family. AEW Continental Crown Championship. Kingston versus Bryan. All Kingston wants is a handshake out of this. Not his championship. This championship, you know, he wants Bryan Danielson's respect. So I think Eddie's gonna win, and I think they're gonna shake hands. You know, a mutual respect amongst one another, even though it's Bryan who's the one that called him the King of Bums. And then after that, after the handshake, then they're going to beat his ass. Yeah, that's just what I think. AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Jacksons versus Sting and Darby. This is why I put in my notes that Flair was going to betray Stinger, but obviously after what happened in Dynamite, that's not the case. And if he does betray Sting in any weird way, I'm going to be like, well, then what was the fucking point of Dynamite? The Jacksons, they're going to find some way, shenanigans to, because the proper rule of thumb, if you're going to retire, or if this is your retirement match, this is the final match, you go out on your back. That's the way it's been. That's as long as pro wrestling's been around. So I'm guessing the Jacksons will win those tag team championships. If not, god damn it, Tony. AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. I think Orange Cassidy has had this title long enough, and I think Roderick Strong's going to get this championship, and we'll have some more gold added to the Undisputed Kingdom, because they have the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships, and Wardlow's going to get a big one tonight, so that makes my pick a little more heavy. Like, I can think that Wardlow's going to get one, so the Undisputed Kingdom looks strong coming out of this. AEW Women's World Championship, Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. I am picking Toni Storm. I'm very interested to see their final face-to-face, because this has been blah. Not with Toni. Toni's been great. Timeless Toni Storm is great. I will bow down to her. Deonna Purrazzo, not so much. Nothing. There's nothing there. And the way she dropped that poor person on her head, ugh. Come on, Toni, whoop that ass. AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Joe's gonna retain. I don't see them taking that championship anytime soon. And if I was booking this match, Hangman wouldn't be here. It'd be Swerve and Joe, and I would have Swerve win that championship, even though the championship reign has not been that long. I think Joe's too strong right now. Joe's too hot. And we're going to keep that title on him. So that is my picks and predictions for AEW Revolution. And we're going to see Joe versus Wardlow at the next pay-per-view. And this is Sting's final match. And I don't know if they're going to have that be the main event, which I would think so, because they've been advertising Sting's final match for a while. You would think, like, yeah, let the AEW Tag Team Championship match be the one to finish the show, because this is Sting's final night. So we'll see what happens on the lineup when we get there, and we can watch AEW's Revolution. 3 out of 5 for Dynamite. What do you tell me about my picks and predictions? Drop those comments below. Let's talk some pro wrestling here, folks. And remember, like and subscribe, share with your grandma, share with your grandpa, share with the bum down at Walmart. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/New World Podcast. Get yourself that sweet nWp logo created by Penta X. Go check out the channel on the YouTubes. That's what my parents call it, the YouTubes. All right, y'all. I'm KMB the Sexy Ninja, and remember that the New World Podcast is for life, brother.
Oh my God!